Hello friends, welcome to Alpha Advantage channel. Let's start our Know Your Market series for the weekend 13th of June 2026. We begin with the US markets. The Dow was up 0.7%, S&P 0.6 and Nasdaq 0.7%, while the Russell was up 3.9%, indicating that mid caps and small cap are still in the momentum. The markets did had a fall last week, but this week there was a little bit of consolidation and large cap were gaining little bit momentum on the upside. The basic reason could be oil falling down, and because of that the sentiments were getting boosted. As regard to the important data, we had inflation numbers on Wednesday. The CPI came in a little bit hot at 4.2%, reinforcing fear that inflation may stay elevated at these levels. Importantly, regards to the Fed, I think traders started pricing in higher for longer interest rate environment on a longer term. We expect that basically the CPI did came in 4.2%. That was highest of last 3 years. But then the major point was of the energy prices, which were soaring heavily. That is 40% year on year. But rest all commodities and other things were cooled little bit down. That is around 0.2% only on month basis. So inflation, I think it's a little bit of slow and steady. Fed would be looking at data for next month, and I think then they will move forward. The main highlight of this week was the SpaceX IPO. It was a record-breaking IPO. SpaceX raised around $75 billion, making it the largest IPO ever. The company debuted with a valuation of around $1.77 trillion. The IPO was priced at 135, but it closed at around 161 level, which was 19% above the offer price. Elon Musk made a wealth milestone, that is first trillionaire of the on the earth, and that is basically a very good achievement on his side, breaking multiple records. What drives SpaceX is important thing. It launches rockets. It has a Starlink satellite business and a future Mars and deep space ambitions. Many investors see Starlink as a major long-term growth engine. Retail investors were frenzied this week for this IPO, and the demand was extremely strong, and the issue was very heavily oversubscribed. Many investors received only a fraction of the shares they applied for. It is important also to know the risk with the SpaceX stocks. The valuations are extremely high, and critics point to profitability concerns and significant ongoing investment in future projects. It will be a highly volatile stocks in the coming days. So I think it would be a wait and watch for everybody. Those who have applied, I think they could stay invested, but it would be for a longer time. Also on the US-Iran war, there are a lot of noises on the matter, but with the statesmen coming from both the sides, it looks like the deal is about to be happened, which will be sentimentally good for the market, as market can look further and the noise from the statesmen coming on social media will subside. We feel that unless there is some serious firings on the ground from US or Iran, all the noises should be ignored by the investor and focus on value buying if markets react downside because of noises rather than action. What should we expect for the next week? Well, this week is the week of the federal banks, Bank of Japan, Bank of Australia, US, Swiss, and British banks. Are having the monthly meetings, and Fed meeting is on Wednesday, the 17th. The rates to remain stable, but the outlook to be cautious, as with inflation rising due to energy prices, but it has still not spill over to other counters of the inflation. So it will be a wait and watch approach for the Fed, and I think the Fed will wait for another 1 or 2 months to see that if the rise in the energy prices are spilling over and other counters of the inflation. That was a wrap up of the US markets. We now come back to India. Let's talk about the Indian markets. Last week, Indian markets had a very good rally from the lower levels. Nifty rise by around 1% for the weekend, and Bank Nifty led the charge with around 4.25% for the whole week. The banking sector, banking and financial sector has a good weightage in Nifty, that is around 30% plus. And since Bank Nifty has risen by 4.25%, the Nifty rallied very good in the last week, followed by the defense sector, the pharma sector, and the metal sector. So in all, basically three to four sector contributed very good to the movement, upside movement of the Nifty of rising by 1%. The scenario overall, if we see, looking at the major factor for Indian markets is basically the crude oil, and crude oil is touching the lower levels slowly and steadily. And with the possible US and Iran deal, I think Indian markets can rally fast from these levels. And if we talk of the points importantly, so 23,300 is a major point for Nifty for the future. If that has been taken out on the lower side, then only we can expect some major downside movement in Nifty. Otherwise, looking at the last week movement and the slow and steady addition of one sectors in getting the Nifty on a positive side, we feel that 24,500 to 25,000 levels are achievable for Nifty in next 1 month, or maybe possibly in the current month itself. The momentum is expected on the positive side, and hence one should avoid for short selling in the Indian markets. Looking at the different sectors of the Indian markets, we feel basically that the IT sector is very oversold on a weekly and a monthly basis. And if we expect that if Nifty is around to go up by around 1,000 points or so, the IT sector will definitely attract value-based buying, and possibly we can expect a good move also on the upside on the Nifty IT index itself. So investors can watch for IT sector stocks this week for a investment period of around 1 month or so. So that's a wrap up of the Indian markets also. Uh, with this thing, we end the Know Your Market session of the 13th June and weekend. Happy investing for the next week. We will come with a new edition, and in between there is possibly, if the Fed decisions comes out and if there is a major movement in the markets, we will definitely come out with a mid-week session edition for this also. Till then, happy investing.